We're always telling your stories, and it's time someone tells ours. We're humans first, journalists second. We chose this career to give you a voice. Now we're voicing ours. It's true, journalism has much room for improvement, but not all hope is lost, and we want your trust back by humanizing one journalist at a time. We're sharing with you what we go through to bring you the news. The pain, the tears, the trauma, and the mental health struggles. It's painful, and sometimes we even work 2 jobs to make ends meet. But we all have something in common. The passion, the joy, and the love we feel for storytelling and holding the powerful accountable. That includes holding ourselves accountable. So here are stories from us. This is how we want to help improve the news industry. The Awakened Journalist is proud to present Media Healers by Emiliana Molina Fajardo.
I was in 6th grade, and in this little newspaper interview, I said I wanted to be a TV reporter.
It's always about public service. I always wanted to have a job that had meaning, that had purpose.
The school district was able to use my story and my research and use that to fight the governor, and they ended up winning. And so they managed to keep their high school open.
I was able to run a story that helped get a law passed, that helped judges screen juvenile suspects a little bit more compassionately. It built from there, and now the state doesn't look at juvenile justice the same way.
Muy duro, muy duro. O sea, yo te puedo decir que yo lloraba todas las noches y trabajaba todo el día.
Working weekends, working overnight. I mean, there would be times when I'd see 3 homicides in an evening, and you had to just move from murder to murder to murder. Meeting the families, seeing the families in pain, obviously seeing the crime scenes and the bodies, it takes a toll on you.
When you're passionate about something, it's very hard to challenge that system and to say, no, I actually have to go home tonight.
And just relentless coverage that took a significant toll on my mental health, which translated into my physical health. And in the months following my departure from the station, my health kind of broke down.
To me,
underpaid. I even had to do other things like Uber and Lyft and, Instacart.
As you were being a journalist.
Yeah.
I normally am pretty good at keeping it together during difficult situations. And for a couple of days, I couldn't go to work without shaking, and I just shook all morning. And that's when I knew I needed some help. So I did speak to my doctor, and I started taking medication for my anxiety, which was able to help me get through the day. And I actually just stopped taking it a couple of weeks ago.
Y la gente se ha acostumbrado que el periodista debe estar en una postura intachable y sin mostrar sentimientos, y resulta que no. Uno absorbe todo lo que está viviendo, para bien o para mal.
And then a lot of times you're meeting people on their worst days, and so it's this weird energy exchange, and are you then keeping that weird energy without really healing?
You can hire diverse people all day long, but if you don't create an environment where they'll stay and where they'll feel supported and encouraged to sort of share their viewpoints, then have you really created a diverse environment, or have you just hired colorful people? Just by nature of it being not only white does not an inclusive space make.
I've talked to so many people that they go through the same thing, across the country, different markets, big markets, small markets, so it's just like maybe the industry does need to change things. Maybe legislation should be put into words, where, I don't know, women shouldn't be able to MMJ after hours.
This demand for reaction and thoughts to really dramatic and tragic incidents and stories, we don't always have to bring back sound, all right?
And I think there needs to be a little bit more collaboration as to what those people need in order to feel safe, in order to feel welcome and compensated, because what we've seen is just responsibilities added and pay has not been added.
If we can really look within and figure out who are we, I feel that that in turn can go towards the outside and really change, many things that I think the industry needs to shift, from diversity, from inclusion, from making sure that the people in your newsroom reflect the people in your community, to workloads.
Your MMJ or your reporters coming back from maternity leave and they're breastfeeding, give them a story where they have ample time, or they have a safe place where they can pump, or that doesn't have to be a day turn, because you have to pump at least every 3 hours. And when do you have 30 minutes as an MMJ every 3 hours to just kind of sit? And you can't, it's impossible. So
the news industry should do a better job of not sensationalizing, but really working to help support the victims of so many tragedies that we cover every single day.
Don't feel like in order to succeed that you have to be quiet. That is the exact thing that we report about being wrong. What happens when we're in organizations and establishments that don't get the mirror turned on them very often is that we get to continue walking in the ways that we have always walked. So don't forget every once in a while to turn the mirror on yourself and on where you work, because the work that we do, we really do hold truth to power in so many instances. We forget that we can do that in our own lives and where we work. And I think the more often that we do that, the more we will be able together to change the standard for what's acceptable in newsrooms across the country.